Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of In the Waterweeds. We're here talking about Drums of Autumn, part 8. Part 8, just part 8. I don't know, I would choose part 9 too. We probably should have because they go together, but we didn't. It's just part 8. And if you read it with us or you didn't read it or you haven't read it forever, or you've read it 50 times, join us right now online. Hashtag In the Waterweeds. Talk to us on Twitter. We'll talk to you. Hi, I'm Beth. I'm having a LaCroix and these delicious gummy bears from my local Sprouts, which are really, really good. And they're hard to not purchase because they keep them right by the checkout. And I get them every time. Good job, Sprouts. Nice marketing. Everybody say hello, Amy.
Hey, I'm Amy. I'm drinking a polar seltzer. And if I'm being truly honest, I'm only 2 days in on Sober October, and I fail both days. I'm having some Pinot Noir.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Is it?
Well, I saw the hashtag, and I take Lexapro for my anxiety, and alcohol is not the best thing to pair with it. So I thought, I'll give my Lexapro a fighting chance this month. And I was like, nah.
There's no need for that.
I need booze more.
Why not? I'm Nikki. I'm drinking this Simply Balanced LaCroix knockoff, but I got it because it has a fall theme. Cranberry citrus.
Is it good?
Let's find out. Let's do a little.
Is Simply Balanced the Target one?
Mm-hmm. They're the only ones who have a sort of fallish themed one. So it's good. I love cranberry. So
yeah, me too. That's the LaCroix I'm having. Cran raspberry.
There you go.
I was at Michael's today watching them decorate for Christmas and getting rid of all the Halloween stuff already. And they had one of those cheesy signs, where it's like, in this house, we practice love. But it said, cranberries without vodka must be Thanksgiving.
I need that.
Good job, Michael's.
How are they already putting up Christmas? I went on the first day of fall in September 2 weeks ago to Target, and they already had Christmas stuff in the back row. I was so upset.
Halloween is already on 50% off clearance at my Michael's.
Well, wow. Good, because I haven't decorated yet, and I'm about to go out of town for 5 days, so I probably won't. But I'd love to get it. I'd love to get it 75% off. That'd be great.
Got to get coupons.
Yeah, and I'm not going to Hobby Lobby, so I don't need that one. That 40% off is not going to happen.
I don't have that temptation, and I'm glad because there's no Hobby Lobbies up here, and I'm pretty sure I would fail. Like, if it's a craft store, AC Moore, Michael's, I have a problem. So
anybody that's into a Hobby Lobby lately knows those right there. That's from Hobby Lobby. That hello sign, that little thing. I don't even like them anymore. They've just been there for so long now that I'm like, I can't move them. I don't really want to deal with that. I'll do something different for Christmas, and maybe I won't put them back up. Maybe, but probably I will. So let's talk about Drums of Autumn. We're talking about part 8. This is a lot of Roger going on in this section, which is kind of boring. I'm not gonna lie. I don't love it. I don't love that much Roger. I like him in small doses. It went really fast. Why did it go so fast when so many other sections are so tedious and take forever?
Because they're always in a boat or doing some random nonsense like crossing, great divides. And I opened this. I had started reading it like a month or two ago when you guys had started. Because I was like, I gotta stay up to date because I'm gonna jump in here. Of course, 100% fell off the wagon. But why is this like 1,500 pages on my email? Why is it so long? Why?
Why is it so long establishing a relationship between Roger and another woman? It's so bizarre to me. I really like this section in the sense that I love anything that's in a boat, anything that's like old school nautical. Tell me how the people in steerage deal with all the bilge and, the people coming and going, and you have 18 inches to sleep. And I love all that stuff. And I like this section because there are stakes. I mean, you're trying to basically not to have a baby be thrown overboard, which is so horrifying to think about. But it's a lot of effort to show that Roger is a good guy, and also that he seems to forget about Brianna pretty easily. And then he kisses this lady on the mouth, and it's weird.
It's my first question of this entire section is, how many women is Roger going to kiss on the mouth in one part of the book? Because he kisses Fiona on the mouth too.
Yeah.
Why does he do that? Is that like, essentially, like, this is Roger's Me Too moment. Like, quit assaulting ladies who didn't ask for you to kiss them.
Is it one of those, like, kisses on the cheek sort of situation, but it's, like, on the mouth? Or is it, like, a romantic? Because I didn't get that far.
If that's the way he shows familiarity, like people that kiss their parents on the mouth, all right, that's fine. You do that, whatever. But I feel like the author has an obligation to somehow explain it or show it through another character's eyes to show that that's pretty normal for Roger and not meant in a romantic fashion, because we as the reader, without any kind of implication or explanation, we're just wondering what are his motivations there, especially because he's definitely commented on, and I'm going to say this name wrong, Morag.
Yeah,
Morag. You know, she's a bonny lady or whatever. So.
And also since he was so broken up about the whole Brianna thing, like she's going to Singapore or wherever she was going, and he was sad and he threw the stuff away. And then he's like, oh, wait, she's alive. I got to go save her. Why are you kissing other women? That's weird.
Yeah, I think the Fiona kiss is like a goodbye. And also kind of a thank you for getting him that far. Because if she hadn't done what she did at the Stones, he wasn't sure whether or not he would get to go through. Also, she gave him the notebook. I mean, she really made it possible for him to go through, which I think you're right. Dee also said the reason this on Twitter just said that the reason this one moves as quickly as it does is because the story is actually moving. And she's right. It's what Amy just said. There's stakes all of the sudden. Roger Brianna actually left and went back and he didn't know. And so he needs to get to her. He needs to like try to help her out. And then there's the stakes once he's there, of, you know, the children not getting thrown overboard, all of that stuff. So there's more going on in this section than usual. And so that's one of the reasons that it does move quickly. But Fiona really actually did help him through and do something for him. The other girl, what is he kissing her on the mouth about? It's very weird.
And he says it right before that she smells of like puke, piss, and feces. And then it's just like, he's going to kiss her on the mouth.
I mean, I'm sure he's not smelling like a bed of roses himself, but at the same time, it's just a strange thing to do. I mean, isn't her husband there? Or is he not? Isn't this the couple that he saw?
That's eventually his grandma, right? Or his great-great-grandma?
This lady?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Whoops.
That's even weirder.
I think so, because don't they run into them later on when he gets that's why he gets kind of strung up and he gets choked nearly to death.
Oh, well.
Because the guy, he runs into her later on in life.
Oh, well, good for him. You know, that's cool.
So he just kissed his great grandmother.
So in terms of a plot device, the kiss comes up again later because the husband finds out, or he tries to kiss her again. I think that's what it is. If you've read it 3 times like I have, and you can remember better than me, when they're eventually in North Carolina, he tries to kiss this lady again.
Dang.
Yeah, and then the husband takes issue with it, and.
Well, I mean, Roger's obviously like aware that it's not a thing that people did, because when he kisses Fiona, he says, "Don't tell Ernie," and then he turns around and leaves because he knows that like probably a married woman is going to be like, this guy I had a huge crush on and lived with for years and years kissed me today.
Well, yeah, because he knew that she had been in love with him.
Yeah.
It feels really dickish.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, that one actually would feel sweet to me if he ever had any like real honest respect for Fiona. And I guess in this section, he kind of begrudgingly gives her some sort of props for being helpful. Mm-hmm. But I don't really hate that kiss. The "don't tell Ernie" thing is kind of comical to me, you know, because you think Fiona's probably going to go home and tell him, like, even just to brag, if not for any other reason. So it's kind of comical, but at the same time, it also shows that he knows the mores of that time do not permit a man to just smackaroo a married woman and friend, no matter what she did for him. So he has a weird greeting.
It's also just a weird choice by Diana that we're supposed to be super invested in his relationship with Bree, and he seems to either just be kissing other ladies or just kind of easily distracted. And
well, she seems to do that a lot. I mean, she has Jamie get in bed with Geneva, which was sort of a different story, and all of this weird rape stuff that she brings up. Like, she kind of just adds these like weird, why do you think she does that? Like, just kind of throws in these almost odd sexual situations, weird intimate moments.
I think that there is a level of trying to distance her heroes from tropey romance heroes. I think that she does a lot of what she does to stop the books from being labeled as romance. We were talking about 2 in the Waterweeds ago about how you never really see Roger and Brianna fall in love. The times that they have together are really wasted in terms of like caring about their relationship. They do odd things. You don't see them meet at the airport. And even in this past section, they're writing letters to each other. You don't get to see or read any of those letters. You just get Roger's like emo upset about them afterwards. And she just misses the boat on like selling us on their romance. And so I think a lot of the weird sexual stuff, and even when it's semi-platonic like this, like the kiss with Fiona, I think it is an effort to stay out of the romance genre where a hero and a heroine don't have any sexual contact with anyone once the book starts or once their relationship starts, right? That's kind of the unspoken rule of most romance fiction, is that there's no other sexual contact. Mm-hmm. So I think that's part of it. I think she's just trying to stay out of that genre.
And yet it is a romance book with all of these other things thrown in. So it's just a weird, bad choice 4 books in to try to shoehorn a non-romance theme in there.
I would have really appreciated Roger and Bree's story a lot more the first time I read it, and this time if it were written more like a romance inside this bigger adventure story.
Agreed. Especially if they're supposed to kind of take over the story moving forward. You didn't give us anything. You gave us a huge Jamie Claire romance, but you didn't give us anything for these 2 new characters, essentially.
Yeah.
Maybe it's hard to recapture the magic.
Lightning didn't strike twice for her.
I wonder if she didn't read romance. I mean, I know she's always talking about some of her influences or whatever, and I wonder if that's not like it's not a genre she's used to, and so maybe she's just not aware of how to do it.
I apologize. My dog is at my feet losing his mind. I'll be right back.
Poor Bob.
Bob.
You just also said that the Fiona kiss is kind of balanced out at a Christmas kiss from her in the previous section. That's true. I don't know. I just think that it's a goober choice. Like, it's a goober way for him to act. And maybe I would not even notice it or think about the Fiona thing if it weren't for this other kiss to this other lady on this boat that he spent all this time worrying over.
I think that draws it out. When you know someone likes you in that way, it's just bad choice. Bad look for you, Roger.
And a man who is chivalrous and doing his best to just help a woman in need on this boat in this life or death precarious situation. And his shipmates are basically saying, like, why are you even bothering just for a warm body? And he keeps talking about her warm body after they put that in his head. And if he were a good guy, if he were this chivalrous, like, romance hero, he would never have thought to touch her in any way like that. Like, I don't know. And then there's also, like, when Jamie is leaving Hellwater, he kisses Lord John.
Oh, right.
Yes. There's all of these like.
I forgot that.
There's all these all of these kisses.
That's weird.
Goodbye kisses for people that they aren't in love with.
No, they aren't in love with, and it leads them on and makes you look like a jackass.
I just remembered that Diana had that open mouth kiss with Sam on the stage that year.
So maybe she thinks that's like a proper greeting for people.
My mind is exploding right now. It all comes around. It's just how she is.
It's her. She just wrote herself into the story and her weird ways of being.
I don't even have words anymore. Like, why we don't have to talk about it anymore. The reason it's in there is because Diana thinks that's cool. You just open mouth kiss people when you're saying goodbye, when you're saying hello, when they have malaria. Yeah.
When you're on a sea voyage, it's cool.
When you have like lots of power over them in like really strange ways and they're terrified of you, kiss them on the mouth. It's fine. It's not a problem.
Doesn't feel weird for anyone.
Amy, you missed my revelation.
Which was?
We're talking about all these kisses. Jamie kisses Lord John in Hellwater when he's leaving, remember?
Yes.
Another goodbye, thank you kind of kiss.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized that Diana open-mouthed kissed Sam on the stage at that one event that we have like that weird picture of.
Oh, that's right.
And we're just realizing it's just her. She just thinks it's fine. She's cool with it.
Cool. That's when you need an editor that can say, you might be cool with that, but your character, it needs to be explained.
Wait, she doesn't have an editor, right? She's one of those.
Surely she has one. I just don't think that they have a whole lot of say.
Yeah. They just offer her ideas.
It's like when she slipped in that word for stingy that always makes you kind of like, do you know which word that I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't even want to say it. And
Is
Roger's
it a racial thing?
Well, it's not really a racial thing, but there's no reason for any good person to use that word because it catches you up short. It makes you wonder for a second, like, what did they just say? And you can just say stingy.
Yeah.
And the fact that Roger just happened to use it butts the crap out of me because one, it doesn't feel like a word that Roger would use. It's not like something he uses all the time. It just like she uses alacrity 400 times when Claire is thinking about something. Mm-hmm. But for Roger, that's when I'm just like, I read that and I was like, oh yeah, she doesn't have an editor.
Yeah.
Or somebody that's like, no, baby girl.
Especially like we all fall into patterns where as writers where we're just like we're using the same phrases, the same words over and over again. Like you need an editor to be like, you've said this same thing 50 times. Like you can't keep using diffident. You need to occasionally use shy or timid. Like you just need to come up with a different word occasionally. Right. I'm terrible about that. I use the same words all the time, but oh well.
But that's why you have Control F. Like you can see how many times you use it. Like when I write, I have to do Control F looking for the word just because I use the word just way too much.
Right.
I do wonder what her documents look like. Does she write everything in like Notepad and then they're just these huge files? Does she use Scrivener?
No, she uses like an old-fashioned typewriter with like a huge paper. She definitely uses something old.
Okay. Go ahead.
Mare, Cool Story Mare, said the Bree Roger romance is pretty thin. DG also doesn't really like Bree / found her hard to write. Is that something that DG has said before?
I have no idea. Why base your story on those two characters then?
Yeah.
Like, I would find it really surprising if she had admitted that one of her characters, especially one of her main characters, was difficult for her to write.
Oh yeah.
Now she uses that analogy of the nut and the onion. Some of the characters come like fully formed or whatever and have all these layers.
Yeah.
Some of them are like nuts and they're really hard to crack and they're hard to like figure out. And I think Brianna's a nut. But
yeah,
whatever. That's a good observation though, Mary. Why do I want to call you Mary? It's Meredith.
Meredith,
right?
yes.
Yeah, it's Meredith. Anyway, so enough of Roger freaking out and being weirdo. Let's talk about Brianna at Lallybroch, because that's the other big section, or the big thing that happened in this section. And I have to be honest, all negativity aside, I had like sinus tears from like here to here, just kind of the whole section. I was almost crying the whole time I was reading it. The whole time.
It's a good section. I like the part where it's her and Jenny, or she's meeting her family. Like, I love the whole, like, oh my gosh, you are Jamie's, like, you look so much like him. And I love people's, like, revelation at seeing her. I feel like the Leary part went on a little too long without Brianna interrupting like I thought she would. It didn't seem very much in her character to just stand there and let her talk such shit all over her mother. It just felt a little bit out of character.
Yeah, I thought so too, but then I realized that she has no idea what's transpired other than Leary's, the stuff that happened at Cranesmere. Like, she has no idea about his marriage or anything. She has no idea why she's there or what she's talking about. So, I mean, I think it probably took her a minute to figure out.
Yeah, and I did like when she realized who it was that she pushed back and said, well, she did say to her, I know who you are. My mom told me who you are. You're the one who told her that Galus needed somebody. You're the reason that my mom was almost burned alive. So she did stand up for her a little bit, but there just seemed to be like a lot of Leary talking, especially when Claire relates that story to Jamie, when he's always like, oh, tell me about Brianna. And one of the stories was like when she punched some kid like right in the nose when he said something bad about Claire. Like, I think that was in a pretty recent section. Mm-hmm. It was like, take your working parent to work day or to school, whatever, career day.
Take your working parent to work.
Oh my God. Career day.
Sober October. Okay.
Yeah. I know, I wish I were tipsy. And so Bree punches the little boy right in the face. And that was kind of fresh in my mind. So I thought that when Leary just kept going on and on and on, that at some point there would have been a little bit more pushback from Bree. But she did. She said, I know who you are.
Slapped those pearls down and was like,
oh, yeah.
I am who I say I am. Like, get out of my face. So there's a little bit of that. I think she's probably just overwhelmed in a lot of ways and like trying to make sure she doesn't get thrown out too. I mean, she doesn't even really know what her welcome is going to be or whatever. So I think she has.
Maybe it's just that the scene seems to go on for so long sometimes where I'm just like, all right, shut up. Like, can we move on to something else?
Yeah.
But that's just the bug.
I mean, I love every person that she meets in that one. Like, from when she first meets young Jamie, and the way he looks at her, and you can just tell that they're just connected immediately. And Dee just said she loves the whole part. Mom will have kittens. I love when he says that. Mom's gonna have kittens. Like, I love the fact that that there's such a huge resemblance between her and Jamie that there's no doubt. And there had to have been some doubt for her too. Like, she can go and be like, I'm Jamie Fraser's daughter, but like meeting his relatives and not knowing what the reaction is going to be. And then knowing that they know immediately just by looking at her is amazing. Yeah. And it just makes me cry the whole way through. I'm just in tears. The letters is my favorite part for two reasons. A, I love letters. And B, I love Jamie writing is Jamie so adorable.
Yes, I could not agree with you more. I love the way his mind works. I love his turn of the phrase. Like, I would take an epistolary novel of just Jamie writing from the room.
Have we seen anything from him so far of his writing like that? Or is that really the first time? Because it's been all Claire.
Not a lot. I mean, maybe in Dragonfly he writes a few things here and there. But it's not homey and meant to be funny and things like that. I think maybe in Dragonfly he's got a few things that he has to write to, Jared or something. But this is the first like lengthy amount that we're getting from him, and it's adorable. He's hilarious, and it's like colonial speak, and it's silly. And I was cracking up because even though back then, 18th century, they constantly are capitalizing weird words anyway, it just reminded me of the way that Diana does social media. And I just kept seeing like _R_grin. Like I just kept seeing so many of her eccentricities on social media in the way he is writing, but it was still adorable. Even with that in my head, it was still the cutest thing ever.
CompuServe letter writing.
Oh,
and then when Ian takes over to write, I just love Ian. Ian.
He's like more succinct and like a little bit, he has a lot less detail or whatever. But I don't know. I loved everything about that. I loved when he was talking about the porcupines, the porcupines wanting to be decorative. And then he says that Claire's fingers are purple and that was most decorative. And he found that it just everything about it. I was all into it. And the fact that she's getting to see him be a real person and getting to know him even through like, you can easily get to know people through their correspondence. And that's just, if I were her, I would have been in just buckets of tears.
Oh yeah.
That. Especially when he was talking about Claire. I would have been a bucket of just emotion. I loved every second of it. So good. Yay for letters at Lallybroch.
That's what she does, all these ancillary novels. That should be the next one, Letters from Lallybroch. And then it could give us from the Ridge. And then it could be the Jamie and Claire on the Ridge stuff, talking about making jam.
Yeah, and how the porcupines are not like the wee hedgies that he's used to.
Honey Lips on Twitter said, loved Ian showing the cave, must have for the show. And then she has a little cry emoji, which brings up a good point. Like, what are the moments from this section that you want to see for sure in season 4?
That is a good question. I do love when she talks to Ian. Because he just has such a different perspective. I mean, he's her uncle, but he's also one of Jamie's best friends, and just his gentleness with her is beautiful. And when he says, he's just kind of staring at her kind of with a wistful smile on his face, and she's like, what? And he's like, we just really never thought Jamie would have a bairn of his own. And I mean, it has to be such a trip for them to see her fully grown, fully looking like him, and like not even knowing that he ever knew that he knew, and he never told them that he knew she existed. And that's just got to be so amazing for them. At the same time, just so weird. And I love that scene. I really want to see her at Lallybroch. Like, I don't think they can do it without that scene. I hope they don't.
You better not.
Did they film there for this season?
I don't know.
I don't remember seeing any photos, but I don't know if anyone was out there taking them either.
Yeah.
Somebody should surely let us know if there was like a day that, or a couple of weeks where those actors would have been involved.
Right.
Stephen Cree.
Oh.
Laura Donnelly. I know their names. I'm not a bad fan. I know their names.
Hey, we can see Roger without his goofy getup because he'll be, on the high seas and a little less.
Little less turtlenecks and corduroys.
I have a feeling we're not going to see any boat ride. I have a feeling we don't see that at all.
I really hope so. We had enough of that last season.
You don't think that they'll have him on the boat to at least establish Bonnet as a bit more of a character?
No, I think he's going to meet Bonnet in Wilmington once he gets to America. It doesn't really translate for Bonnet to all of a sudden be a captain in Scotland and for him to meet him there. It would make a lot more sense for him to meet him near where Bonnet did the bad stuff.
And that the actor playing him just seems too young and not craggy enough to be the pirate or the sea captain. But
yeah, they may not even say he's like a sea captain. I can't remember. What have we even seen of him?
We've seen him do the beginning because he's in the first episode, and he's just a rogue or a thief or whatever. So I just don't think it makes sense for him to even be the sea captain. It just, I mean, it's fine. I mean, because we have more time for Roger to establish like the stakes of trying to hide from the people that brought him over. But I mean, I think the stakes are high enough with him just trying to get to America and get through the stones and all of that kind of stuff. I just don't think we're going to see the boat at all. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense for them to have gotten another boat like set and done all of that. And it's very, very expensive. And it really isn't super necessary to the narrative. I would be shocked if they did that.
This is also Outlander, and they do a lot of weird things. So I wouldn't be shocked if they just...
We're going to have a whole episode of Roger in the hold with Morag and the rat and Bebe.
And the warm bodies.
He's her lactation consultant.
Well, I'll say that. I mean, they could easily have done like a hold scene, like him going across the ocean, Brianna going across the ocean at some point in different ships, like in a hold. I don't see.
It's not necessary to the story.
Obviously, like Brianna goes from Lallybroch to the Carolinas, and so I think he probably will too.
I would
not be surprised.
Lizzie.
Like Lizzie, yeah. I can see him like literally chasing her through the stones. I can see them doing something so dorky and it just being like him running after her and like
touching, falling in.
Yeah.
So they could even do it where they go through the stones together and then they have their misunderstanding once they get to the Carolinas.
Or just like one after the other. Like he finds out and he's like, like airport scene, like running to catch the plane to like tell her whatever.
Right.
Like they could just do it that way.
They definitely make a production out of her going through the stones because we've seen that clip. She's wearing Claire's coat and she's at the stones. So that's already there. And I think they probably would make more of a production of her doing it than him. And I think they'll try to make it more dramatic with him, like running up the hill or something. Who knows?
Why can't
they did with Frank and Claire? Remember you remember how like dramatic it was when she hears, and they just did all this stuff where she can hear him through the stones calling her name and she's running and trying to make it. And
Did they establish that they both know that they both feel or they can hear it in the last season? I can't remember. Because they could do something where it's like she goes through without knowing that he could, and then he just shows up. She's like, what's happening? Yeah. But that depends on if they didn't say that. I can't remember. I got to rewatch it.
Yeah, I mean, I probably
certain episodes.
Oh, I'm sorry. My dog is super loud. I'm going to mute myself for a minute. Talk.
I don't just have to rewatch it. I have to watch it. I stopped watching some.
Oh, right. I forgot. Well, it was like, that was the season, last season, unfortunately. But
I think once I heard the Batman theme song, I was like, I'm out.
Oh my gosh.
I watched them all, but
my hope is when they go through the stones that somehow Brianna's transformed into a different actress.
That would be a really good way to do that. Like,
I just look different. I don't know.
That would be amazing.
Along the way.
Put her in Sam Heughan in a wig, and then it was obvious who she was. Right. I would go for that. I don't know if I can rewatch season 3. I
could rewatch certain episodes. There were some good ones.
I watched them all, and I just don't know that I can go back. I mean, I love the first part of season 1 is so good. You like just thinking about that Claire and Frank scene at the Stones, like as dorky as that was, it still was good. I'd watch that again.
Which scene?
That Claire and Frank scene at the Stones where she's running and he's like can hear her and he's distraught or whatever. There's some good stuff in season 1.
I liked season 1.
There's some great stuff
in
season 1. And some terrible stuff too.
True.
The road show.
The road show. Scotland's Got Talent or whatever people called it. So awful.
Got Talent.
Oh my God.
Outlander fans.
So we meet Lizzie. We even talked about Lizzie. and her indentured servitude.
The lady's maid, how does this all come about?
I mean, obviously, they need, this is what I think. I think Diana needed another virgin young girl to grow up a little bit in the Americas for somebody else's love interest later on. And she just needed somebody that they could care about because there was a shortage of women they were going to care about in the Americas. And so Brie had to bring somebody with her. I'm surprised Roger didn't also bring somebody with him. Oh, he did. The girl he met on the boat. So there we go. Needed more girls in the Fraser clan. So here we have another one. So I think that's what that's about.
And it had to be a young lady because if it had been, you know, a strapping young man, she could have fallen in love with him. And then where would we be?
Yeah. And if it had been like a craggy old dude, like young Jamie is trying to foist on her, then she wouldn't have gotten raped later on. So.
Oh, no.
We couldn't let that happen.
Oh, that's right.
We got to have as many opportunities for somebody to be violated as possible. So let's bring another young, and I feel like Lizzie, the way she describes her, she looks like my 11-year-old. Like she is very like prepubescent, like an adolescent.
Yeah.
She doesn't seem even like a woman at all. To me, she just seems like a very wafy 14-year-old.
I'm not a girl, not yet a woman.
So let's make Brianna babysit this girl that she just met across the ocean.
For a really strange reason. I mean, certainly this dad is not going to the indentured servant market, and that's his only option. I mean,
it's either she goes with this guy who wants her for a concubine or Brianna. Those are his choices.
There's no governess positions. Nobody needs a washerwoman in Inverness. Yeah. There's nothing. There's no tavern wenches coming around. Like it just seems like that's a bad plan, dude. If that's the best she got. Brianna sitting over there in her breeches, eating her pasties, getting made fun of for being so tall. She's eating pasties or whatever they're called.
Is that what they're called?
Pasties. Cornish pasties.
Yeah. That did make me hungry though.
Yum.
The description of that particular food made me hungry. Nothing else, but that one did it for me.
And then you're back into the hold with the piss and poop.
Yeah. I think that it's interesting in the Brianna section how little she's thinking of Roger. She's just not at all. There's zero there. I mean, if Roger was privy to the Brianna sections of this book, he would be like, oh, she doesn't love me. Like for sure. Like,
I don't need to go through this.
Like, there's no need for me to go. This girl is not into me at all because she's just not. She's not thinking about him in any way ever. At the very end, she says something. She like has one thought about him and then she's like pushing it out of her mind. She didn't have a crush on him. Nothing.
It's nice in like a Bechdel test sort of way, but it doesn't build very much for a romance or a story about them getting together.
You just nailed it. Like in terms of wanting a couple to be together, they kind of have to be in each other's thoughts the whole time and actively seeking each other out. Like think about the Bronze Horsemen, you know, they're separated, but the whole time they're just thinking of the other person and wanting every action they take is to get to the other person. But Brianna doesn't leave. I mean, I understand why she leaves because she wants to go find her mother and warn her that she could, you know, die in this fire. But that doesn't a romance make.
No, not at all. And Nikki's totally right. It passes the Bechdel test. That's great. She's chatting with her newfound lady friends, and it's wonderful. And she's not talking about Roger, and that's kind of cool. And she makes choices for herself and for her family that don't consider Roger at all. Also, kind of cool. Like she's just going off and doing her thing. But we're meant to think that they're a great love story. At least Roger thinks they're potentially a great love story, and they aren't.
It's a love story, baby, just say yes.
I love when you break in with songs. That's my favorite thing. There's just nothing there, man. She doesn't like him. She's not into him at all.
Why aren't we doing it in the Russian Waterweeds? Let's reread the Bronze Horseman and talk about it.
On the potato shelf. That's what we can call it.
Oh my god.
Train tracks. With That's Normal. We do need to talk about the Bronze Horseman. We've only done that uno times.
Yeah.
Just the once. And it was in comparison to Jamie Fraser. And guess who won?
Shura.
Shura won.
He did.
That's right.
I remember that.
Shura.
And that was totally, and if you guys haven't watched that, if you don't know what we're talking about, the Bronze Horseman is like super good. You should just totally read it. But we did a Jamp versus Shura, who's the hero in the Bronze Horseman. And we had all of the questions came from readers, not my brain. And we did every single one that everybody sent us. And then we just picked, like a panel of 4 people picked between Shura and Jamie Fraser. And Shura won. So it was very scientific, you guys. He's better.
So why are we doing this?
Because the Bronze Horseman has not been made into a television show yet. It needs to be. And she's constantly saying it's going to be, but I don't know. It's not. What about the gentleman's wager thing with Bonnet? Does this come in later? Because they spent several pages flipping coins. And Bonnet seems to be very into the flipping of coins. Is there something important coming up that I don't remember about this?
Does he flip a coin for Brianna? I can't remember.
That's what I'm asking. It's like he flips a coin for this baby's life. And then he flips a coin for Roger's life. And he talks about how they flipped a coin for his life. And I'm curious if that becomes a theme later on of something that is important. Did they flip a coin for him to get Claire's ring back from him? I don't know.
Maybe. The key thing that stands out to me in that scene is that she's being raped.
Right.
Oh, I shouldn't laugh like that, but it's...
Well,
and he's uncircumcised and that Brianna notices.
Oh my God.
Again, an editor. I feel like she makes these choices sometimes that completely just pull you out of the scene. Like, what?
You think they're going to include that in the show? Like, have they not gotten enough shit about all of the rapey moments of this show? Like,
it's so easily fixable. Like, she could offer, like, they could have a wager and she could consensually say, you know, I'll give you the want if you give me my mom's ring or something. You know, I mean, it's not as rapey, but it's her choice. I mean, if you're choosing to have sex with someone to get a ring back, I think that's pretty consensual. Because who really actually needs a ring? So I think that it doesn't have to be the rape. So I hope that they've listened to enough people.
Yeah, I never have felt like any of them are, other than Jamie's, are particularly like plot necessary. Even Jamie's is probably not, doesn't need to be raped. You could have just beat him. I mean,
right.
But this one, I mean, it has implications later on. Obviously, there's major character implications that happen later on. But at the same time, like, we're really going to go through the whole genetics, you have a mole on the top of your head thing. I mean,
I love that scene. It's one of my favorites.
I mean, can you imagine that in a dramatic like episode of television? Like a whole
first of all, if they're here 8 seasons later for us to get to that scene,
I don't even know what you're talking about. So.
Season 6.
Sounds awful.
There's because Roger and Brianna are about to do it in the next section, and then Stephen Bonnet rapes her like quickly soon thereafter. Yeah. There's always a question of their child's parentage in Roger's mind. It's like this big thing.
Come on, Roger, get over yourself.
Yeah. it becomes like a major point of self-loathing and depression for a while.
Oh, God.
But he's in the predicament that he's in. He lost his voice and got almost nearly hung to death because he kissed a lady who's not his wife.
Yeah, he sucks.
Dumbass.
I really would like to examine the reasons that she does things like that. I really think that we're onto something in that she's trying not to let it fit to a specific genre of.
I think so. Purely Amused says, Brianna also notices that his penis smells like urine.
Oh, she's right.
Content editor is absolutely needed. That is the most gross thing ever.
Ugh. It is gross. And how funky do you have to be for it to
thinking of that?
No, that it still smells that way.
Well, that too, but why are you thinking of that? Gross. No romance there for sure.
No. She doesn't think that about Roger. She thinks that about Bonnet before he.
Yeah. I'm talking about. I'm talking about Roger.
Yeah.
Wait, Roger.
No, sorry.
She thinks Bonnet. Yeah.
Okay, I was about to say, come on, Raj, you're a man of the 20th century.
It's like she wants Brianna to be very sensory. Isn't Brianna the one who's always just like, oh, Roger tastes like onions. I can tell Roger ate chives for breakfast or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, that kind of stuff bothers me 100 times less than the fact that Stephen Bonnet has to rape the main character. Like,
oh, absolutely.
I mean, I can't eat. I would rather everybody's penis smell like poop and pee every day, every time she describes the sex, as long as that sex is consensual.
Especially because she wants to have it both ways with that character. She wants him to be attractive. She wants him to be alluring. She wants him to be funny. She wants him to be damaged, but not so damaged. But he's still damaged enough to be a rapist, but still enough for Brianna to actually care about him. Like, she just, to care what happens to him in the end, you know, visiting him when he's about to be, you know, shot, hung, all those different times that he's comes into danger. It's almost like his being a rapist is a feature or not a bug for him. It bugs me.
Yeah.
It just adds to his complexity.
Right.
Cool Story Mirror says there was a really good Tumblr post about how all of Bonnet's awfulness has no real implications on the plot. I wish they would just drop the sex assaults because they are just awful.
Yeah, I can fully see how there's no need for him to do some of the things that he does and the way that he does them. It's just not necessary.
Yeah.
But I mean, is it necessary? I mean, we're going to go into part 9, but in just a second, Roger's going to find Brianna in this tavern and just start screaming his head off at her and grabbing on her and pulling her out and then just like smacking her around. I mean, kind of. And it's just, that's the moment you've come across 200 years in time in an ocean and you know, you're on a new continent together and it's going to be, what the is wrong with you? Like, that's the thing. That ding was perfectly timed to my F word that I didn't say. But I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy to me. Like, I would have much preferred a real moment that wasn't so highly charged. She's a lot of like highly charged moments that end up being like bananas.
But then they end up doing it right after that, right? In the shed.
Yeah.
Shit.
But it's still like super problematic. Like, he causes all the problems by being so like, you know, caveman when he comes in.
But she probably smells like pee, and he eats her out in the shed. So, you know.
It sounds like the worst synopsis ever. He smells like pee and eats her out in the shed. Wow. Read it, everyone. This is a great story. Oh my God.
That's terrible.
He made sure her first time, you know, she got a little bit of everything. Good for him.
What a hero.
What a hero.
Oh, gosh.
Is it from, I can't remember whose point of view is it from in that scene. Is it from his point of view? He didn't say, oh, Brianna smells like tinkle.
I think so, because I think anytime it's two of them, I think it's his point of view, right?
Mm.
The only time you get Bree's point of view is when he's not there.
Okay.
I might be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure. I'm trying to look right now, but I can't because it's in third person. I'd have to actually read a little bit to figure that out. I wanted to bring up something that was in the last section with Roger that we didn't talk about. Because we were discussing all of the weird things that people did in the 60s, like the letters they were sending or whatever. And we were talking about how we didn't get the letters like that they were sending each other. We didn't really see them like falling in love. And then he was lamenting the fact that there were guys that he knew whose girlfriends would send them pubic hair taped into their letters. And he was talking about how it was like cool and he wished he would at least do that.
Lord. Oh, Lord. This gets worse.
And I was like, that is like, did our grandmothers do that shit? Like, can you imagine? Like, we complain like our kids are, kids these days are like sending, suggestive photos to each other or whatever. They're Snapchatting each other's like duck lips and, artfully boobs and all that stuff. Pubes glued to the letter.
Pubes. Is this why our mothers always had Scotch tape around?
I guess. What else are you going to use it for?
This goes back to Diana, like just really loving research. And she finds like one oddball thing. And she's like, I'm writing it in. Pubes, writing them in. Done.
I mean, Roger and Bree are not that far outside of her age bracket.
No.
So maybe it's something she did. I don't know. But
Lord. She sent Doug some pubes.
I can't ask my mother. Can you guys ask yours?
My mother 100% did not do that.
I mean, my mother's alive. I could ask her, but I refuse.
100% my mom never did that. Also, my parents were never separated. They lived a mile from each other forever. So till they were 18 and 19 and got married. I don't think they had any longing going on. Definitely not enough longing to like
cut
trim
some pubes off.
Yes. Oh my God. It's so vile. And like, I guess maybe it would be kind of kinky and cool if they're like far apart, like at war or something, and be like, got a surprise for you. But like, I still can't imagine thinking that was a thing to do.
Send your underwear. Like, what's the point?
I guess if you can't take a photo, like you don't have a camera, you could do lipstick and perfume.
Yes.
Or pubes.
An actual lock of real hair.
Yes.
If you're a mother, you could scent it with your milk, maybe.
Oh my word. Oh.
A little care package, some breast milk in it.
Is this how like is this the dirty panties thing in Japan got started?
Exactly. Like just send the full underwear. No one needs the pubes.
Well, maybe that would make the package too thick.
You couldn't wrap the underwear up into the letter.
Just the gusset.
I've been wearing this letter as a panty liner all day. Here, enjoy my discharge.
I really want to tweet that.
Right ahead. Oh, God.
I'm wearing this panty liner. It's so wrong.
It's so bizarre. She comes up with the most bizarre stuff.
That's what I'm telling you. She looks up bizarre things.
I think that she had some older cousin, and that's what that girl did. She told that story once at Thanksgiving in the back room at her mom's house. And Dana was like, really?
These are facts.
She's like taking notes under the table.
It's a thing that people can do. I mean, I guess I get it. You can't take photos. You can't text. You can't do a whole lot. You can kiss. You can perfume. You can real lock of hair. Why not send the dirty hairs? James Joyce probably would have been into it.
I've been boofing on this letter, according to Brett Kavanaugh.
Yeah, Yeah, it just means farting. Yeah, that's what it means.
Lizzie's gonna get a devil's triangle.
We played a quick game of Devil's Triangle.
Beardsley twins are Eskimo brothers.
Oh my gosh. I hope you guys are enjoying this ridiculousness. But I couldn't let the pubic hair letter thing go. I just couldn't. I meant to say something about it last time. I missed that
completely. And I've read this 3 times now. Maybe I just repress it. It's a bridge too far for me.
Well, I'm never going to forget it.
You know, when your brain... I was going to say, when your brain blacks out, like, before an accident, you just don't remember that it happens. This is what happened, Amy. You just forgot.
I had PTSD.
Well, I think that's it. That was a short section, and we still talked about it for an hour. We did it, you guys. For those of you who... I almost choked on a gummy bear. For those of you who aren't going to be at New York Comic Con, I will be. Pretty sure we're seeing the first episode on Saturday. About 99.9% sure that's happening.
Tell us how it
goes. I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying you need to be watching for us talking about New York Comic Con immediately this weekend.
Yeah.
Follow us on everything.
Instagram.
Definitely Instagram.
Stories.
I'm not going to be like living it on Facebook, but I will Insta story as much info as I can, and we will tell you guys what's up on Saturday. There's also other good stuff. Discovery of Witches. We're going to see that one.
Twilight.
American Gods. There's a Twilight panel that I'm going to miss because I got to go home on Sunday. But there's a lot. So if any of you are going to be in New York for Comic-Con, say hi. Tell us on Twitter that you're going to be there, and we will come find you. Or I'll come find you. Everything to do.
Just all
looking at cosplayers. Gonna hang out. Get a drink.
Just some cosplayer butts.
That's this weekend?
It is. I'm leaving tomorrow.
Fun
times.
I will I'll be painting my garage this weekend, but it's not that bad because I've been podcasting while I paint my garage. I binged Dr. Death. If you have not listened to Dr. Death, listen to it now. It's from the people who did Dirty John. And now I am listening to Uncover. It's from the CBC. It is about the Nexium cult, where they branded the people, and the girl from Smallville was involved in it. NXVM. I never knew how you say it, but it's Nexium is how you say it. And it is crazy. Right?
Like
why would you name your cult after something that is against heartburn? But they did.
My mom takes Nexium.
I have definitely done that before.
Your mom takes Nexium and then she trims her pubes and takes them to your dad.
Gross. I'm going to vomit. It's going to be multicolored because I've had a lot of gummy bears. But it'll smell better than the ship that Roger crossed the Atlantic on. So it's got that going for it. Brought it for full circle, you guys. Just for y'all. So anyway, check us out this weekend so we can talk to you about all the cool stuff that's going on at Comic-Con. And we will see you guys in 2 weeks for another edition of In the Waterweeds. I think sections 9 and 10. And then it'll be 2 more weeks. We'll do 11 and 12. And then it's over. And then it's Hangoutlander because it's coming at us real fast. Yeah, the show's coming real fast. Right on the heels of the end of this book is the show. So we planned that just right, just for y'all. So we will see you guys in a couple weeks.